Are you walking like this? Do you have medial calf tightness or even low back pain? We can help with that. I'm Rosie, athletic trainer here at Recover, and you're watching Recover University. Today we're going to be talking about the anatomy of the foot, biomechanics of the foot, some common pathologies that you might be experiencing at home, and lastly, some modifications that we can make to our exercise to help mitigate these pathologies. Our foot is comprised of 3 arches. We have our longitudinal arch, which is the arch on the lateral aspect of the foot. We have our transverse arch, which goes across, and lastly, our medial arch, or our medial longitudinal arch, which is the most iconic arch of all of them. We're going to go now into the bony anatomy of the foot. So we're going to start off with the calcaneus, which is the heel of the foot. Then we're going to go into our tarsals, which are the little tiny bones, before we get into the actual toes of the foot. The toes of the foot are called the metatarsals. The very tips of our toes, where our nails are, those are the phalanges. In our big toe, which is also called the MTP joint, metatarsal pharyngeal joint, this joint is supposed to be extremely mobile. We're supposed to have 30 degrees of flexion and 70 degrees of extension. For this portion of the video, we're going to be breaking down gait. I'm going to specifically be talking about the motions of the foot. I will not be talking about hip activation or any of the swing phases within the gait. So starting with our first phase of our gait, we have heel strike. It's as simple as it gets. This is when your heel is first making contact with the ground. Mid stance is extremely important because this is when we absorb the ground reaction forces. Lastly, we move on to toe off. Again, very simple. This is during our follow through. This is when our toe is the last point of contact with the ground. This is why it's extremely important for our toe to have those 70 degrees of dorsiflexion or extension so that we can really propulse our way through the gait. What are some common pathologies that may be hindering us from moving through our big toe? Now, the first one, extremely common, it's the cause of a pronated foot, or what you might know as a flat foot. So, a flat foot causes our foot to naturally evert, which causes our foot to move laterally, which then actually jams up the capsule of the big toe. The jamming of that capsule can lead to hallucis rigidus, again, that rigidity in the big toe. Moving on to our next pathology, we have plantar fasciitis. Do you have that nagging heel pain in the center of your heel? That's exactly where the plantar fascia inserts, and it extends into our big toe. Now, our plantar fascia can get hurt through different ways. We can have acute plantar fasciitis, or we can have chronic plantar fasciitis. Our acute plantar fasciitis happens when we have a quick stretch of the plantar fascia and our toe is unable to actually extend back. It happens too quickly, we get inflammation in the area. Our second way is actually degeneration of the plantar fascia. This occurs through increasing our volume, intensity, and frequency of exercise by running for too many miles, too long, too quickly, or doing a lot of plyometric work where it starts to aggravate the plantar fascia. To start off this foot care program, we're going to start with big toe mobility. We want to make sure that we warm up that hallucis, or that big toe, for the upcoming exercises. So first off, we're going to start with pressing our smaller toes down and really just trying to mobilize that big toe. We want to make sure that that toe is articulating independently. We're going to do that for about 10 seconds for 5 sets, and then we are going to transition to our plantar fascia stretch. For our plantar fascia stretch, we are just gripping our toes completely and making sure that we're really getting a good 10-second hold stretch for 10 sets on our plantar fascia. For this next exercise, we're doing the short foot. For this, we want to make sure that the heel is planted and the toes are not flexed, but that we are engaging our arch. We want to do this for 5 sets and hold for 10 seconds. Next exercise calf raise ball squeeze. This is to help engage the posterior tib, and this is specifically for those who are suffering from pes plantis or a flat foot. We want to make sure that we're really activating and externally rotating when we're at the top of that calf raise. The ball squeeze drill, we're trying to make sure that we hold the ball between our big toe and our second toe. We want to hold the ball for 5 seconds. We want to make sure we're engaging that big toe. Hold for 5 seconds and then progress to longer holds over time for a total of 1 minute. Moving on to ankle pumps. For the ankle pumps, we want to make sure that we're applying adequate resistance in each range of motion. We're going to start with inversion, eversion, dorsiflexion, and lastly plantar flexion. We want to do 3 sets of each for 10 reps. Moving on to calf raises. Our calf raises, we can keep them simple on the floor, no deficit, for 3 to 10 seconds. Then we can progress to deficit heel raises to get more range of motion, but also to help increase dorsiflexion. Lastly, we want to make sure that we put a towel under that big toe to help increase that toe extension. We're going to do 3 sets of 10. Single leg balance. We want to make sure that we focus on 3 points: the heel, the big toe, and the pinky. We want to make sure that these are in contact with the floor at all times. We want to do 1 minute holds for 2 sets. A good progression for this is using the Bozu ball. Same concept applies, making sure that we focus on those 3 points. If you made it this far into the video, we highly appreciate it. Please make sure you give this video a like, subscribe, become part of the Recover fam. Remember, better recovery, better performance. We out. See you next week.